So first up, we do have Idolmaster versus Esam. Just for the purpose of copyright claims and all that stuff, we're gonna mute that stream. I have no idea how long ago it was, but I had a matching place with music, and we'll put on the familiar training music. That is not the right speaker. There we go. Once again, let me know if the volumes are good and all that, and we'll be going from there. Actually, looks like it's not even working at all. There we go. Alright, yeah, just as usual, just let me know if the volume bounces out well for that. And let's continue on. So, I did see Idolmaster talk about this quite a lot yesterday. He was complaining about this, saying it's like one of those winnable things and all that stuff. Truth be told, this matchup's really not all too bad. So I'm actually very happy that we have a good Pikachu set to look at. Because I don't think we really don't have too many, just because there aren't too many good Pikachu players. So it's kind of hard to talk about like a lot of these points here. So definitely what I hope to do with this is kind of give you guys a brief little matchup guide with this. So overall, this matchup is fairly even. The main thing about Pikachu is that he doesn't really have a good answer to Shield Can. He can interfere with Ken in a number of ways. Like, he's got moves that have a tiny Destroy on it, so that kind of helps protect himself in a lot of scenarios. He's also got T-Jolt too, so of course a projectile to hit Can away. Always a good thing to have when you're fighting Duck Hunt. But however, when you shield over Can, he doesn't actually have a proper way to deal with that. He's always going to have to take the explosion hit if he decides to go in and hit you and try to pressure you some. So that's something that he always had a hard time dealing with. And just kind of like, as always, he doesn't really have a solid answer to shield camping, especially platform camping, especially if you have a shield can on you as well. Just literally has no way to contest that. So like overall, if you're on even grounds, it's kind of hard for him to get anything started as long as you're diligent with what you do, and our frame data range is good enough that we can outrange him in a lot of scenarios. Not to mention he's also very light, so that means he'll die relatively easily to just Can in general. Also, he can't quick attack for free just because he does have that hitbox that comes out when he quick attacks around, so if you can shield Can that as well if he's trying to cross you up. So that's something that they have to keep in mind when they're playing this matchup specifically. The other thing too is he does fall in this really weird category where he's extremely light, but he's also a fast faller, so he's generally one of the easier characters to combo in the game as well, which is kind of weird, but it just happens to work that way. So if you are able to get a Clay Pigeon on him, you can abuse that like crazy, and that's something that you'll be looking to use more against like really campy Pikachus. So if they're just like kind of holding back a lot, camping with T-Jolt, once T-Jolt stales, Clay Pigeon will go right through it, and there's not too much you can do about it as long as he's descending with Thunder Jolt itself. So that's really helpful as well. But overall, there's going to be a lot of things that I'll remember as we go along seeing this, so I'll point them out as we get to those points. T-Jolt's better. I mean, T-Jolt's like a very easy thing to understand. Can is not a very easy thing to understand. So yeah, he was just going right in, which, as a Pikachu, you don't want Duck Hunt to set up. And like kind of what you want to do is what you had set up there in the very beginning is you want to set up like a lot of those sandwich scenarios. Definitely that Clay Pigeon was not wise, but as you saw right there, because T-Jolt wasn't stale at all, it's going to break right through Clay Pigeon, so you need T-Jolt to stale twice before that will happen. And as always, you do need to be very careful about how you are throwing out your projectiles, because if you're right next to Pikachu and all that stuff, then he's going to be able to just kind of knock it away. That was a little bit too early on Gunman. Because it goes so early, it's just kind of useless there. Oh yeah, if you actually had a back air, you would have killed him. I see you're trying to go for the ledge setup there, but unfortunately you were not looking out for that little T-Jolt. I got a little greedy with that F-Smash as well. And that's the other thing too, just because he is really fast, he is able to just kind of get around very easily. So you do have to be careful when you're recovering against him. Like, that's the one thing that Pikachu has. Like, just because like our recovery is really susceptible, he can kill us fairly easily off of that. But as long as you're not putting yourself in those type of situations, not too bad. Yeah, so that T-Jolt is basically a confirmed to a grab there. So you got the sandwich going on. See, yeah, like right there, when he's trying to approach, as long as you got Can set up in a position where it'll blow up on your shield, it's really hard for Pikachu to do anything about that. Definitely a good high recovery there, too. Yeah, I think he caught your jump. He went too deep, though. As I say, I think with good DI, you should love that. That's good. Take that hit. And that was really good coverage with the Can right there, just to make sure that he couldn't get in, but unfortunately you're a little bit too late to act to get anything else done. Yeah, also, yeah, don't just pull Gunman right next to him. Just gotta hit him away in those instances. Oh yeah, your hitbox just ended a little bit early there, but there's not too much you can do about that. That was really good dodging from Esam too. So yeah, Pikachu's actually the easiest character frame data-wise to combo with Clay Pigeon. A little fun fact about that because of the whole weight and fastball thing I was talking about. Easy call out there. But definitely, generally speaking, actually, I should point out something right there. I don't really recommend doing this because you can avoid this very easily. Should happen again pretty... It's going to take a little bit before we get there. But you can actually somewhat get guaranteed F smashes against Pikachu. I can show you what I mean. So right... Okay, it's like right after this. Okay, so if he starts like a T-Jolt here and you see him approaching forward, as long as you let F-Smash go at the right time, it will clank with T-Jolt and then follow up, and it'll anti-air Pikachu every single time. So it's actually a pretty easy guaranteed way to get it. However, just because of the way that T-Jolts are only going to happen, it'll be F-Smash across the stage, so ideally it's not something you want to do to like 100, 110%, because otherwise it's not really going to kill. But yeah, there he actually went for a fair instead. But yeah, definitely not something I recommend, though, just because Pikachu has enough that he can just be mobile and get around it. Yeah, and that's kind of hard to get around. Just go for your recovery there. Yeah, no, I remember him seeing that. Yeah, like I don't think it's the best, but it's definitely very good. And I'm guessing this is a two-part game. But I mean, honestly, like neutral-wise, you weren't doing so bad. It was just like you were just pulling projectiles really, really close to him. And when you weren't doing that, you're doing well. When you were doing that, you were getting hit. So it mostly came down to that. And it looks like it's FD only. So I can't really talk about stages either. Yeah, also low profiling in this matchup is a very nice thing to do. It helps get around the T-Jolt setups, and it also does make it a little bit harder for him to hit. Just because like generally it's like he's not looking to hit you with like a landing hitbox or anything like that. So that helps a lot. Yeah, that was a really good recovery right there, because like that was hard for Pikachu to do anything about that setup there. But yeah, that's what you want to do. Keep playing around the can, make it everything unsafe for him. You definitely could have grabbed and thrown into the can itself, which could have done quite a bit. Yeah, that was a good recovery right there. Like the main issue that Esam's having is he's trying to hard call out your recovery, and by doing that, he's letting you get back to stage for free. Most of the time, Pikachu should not be doing that, but Esam's he's just playing Wi-Fi. That's kind of the best way I could explain. Like I don't think you'd ever see him really go for those super deep edge guards just by habit. Yeah, you don't want to be going for those clay pigeons, but in that case it bounced up. If you did detonate it though, you would have been able to catch him. See, like in this case, you know, you're getting caught up in throwing clay pigeons. While it can go through T-Jolt right now, he's like rising and doing it. He's not falling with it. So that's the reason why that doesn't work in that type of scenario. Like you want to be focusing on getting that can out first, just so you just impede what he's able to do in neutral overall. So like there, because like he held himself to the gunman, he was sending that extra hit stun, and he was doing it rising. So let's talk about that real quick. I think if we go to like 908, close enough. Okay, yeah, so we're going to talk about this moment in just a second. 3, there we go. So because he was rising and doing that short hop nair and it's multi-hit, it keeps him there for a very, very long time because it takes a while before he gets to that apex and then he can fast fall. So because of that, you can actually just kind of like just throw out like a back air right here, but I didn't realize you pivot grabbed there, so you may not have had enough time. Yeah, that's all you could get out at that moment. But something to keep in mind, if you got Can or you got Gunman and Pikachu's like hitting it with Nair while rising, that kind of just leaves him vulnerable to get hit by any of your aerials, just because we'll outrange him. Because while Nair is a good move, it does not have the best range. And then, you know, you kept recovering high, and you're at a distance where you could have like delayed it and then just like waited to just recover the ledge, and I think that would have been a lot better. Like you've shown your hand way too much with recovering high here, but he hasn't done a good job punishing you, so I kind of understand why that you keep going for it. Yeah, gotta be a little bit more aware of your Can there. See, he's calling out your high recoveries now with Thunder. It's just he didn't space it for the spike there. But you've been doing high recoveries nonstop. You need to work on mixing it up and like getting to ledge. See, now that was a good clay pigeon, just because what you did there was that you clay pigeoned right through it as you were landing, and you saw him going down with the Thunder Jolt. So that was very good. And if you went for up air at the end, that should have been fresh. Because it's Pikachu, you probably would have killed with that too. So remember that. Like, I think by the third clay pigeon, you were hitting him like right somewhere around here. So definitely should have gone for that. Would have put you in a very good position. Probably would have taken the stock. And I'm not sure if that is the last game you have, but we'll see. Oh man, I took a water same time as him. Let's see what he does. Okay, looks like they are getting back into it. Okay, I like that you did the full hop there. Makes it a little bit harder for Pikachu to come out unless he's just like played you a lot. And I think if you're playing on a stage like FD, I don't think he can realistically punish you. Yep, that's another up air. Yeah, then that's when you start pinging it with the Can. So it's like... So Can's not going to last much longer during that interaction, so what you want to do is you kind of want to start forcing it with him, like against him and all that stuff, so that way you can make him feel a little bit more claustrophobic. Oh, you could have done some cool stuff with that. I also do like that you're jumping to escape, so it makes it a little bit harder for him to catch you. I think if you actually did let that F smash up, you might have been able to catch him. But yeah, see, keep going. You keep recovering high too many times. Like, you need to mix it up. Like at this point, like he could bet like all of his chips on like black every single time, and he'll get it. Yeah, if you just air dodged there, it would have been a lot safer. Yeah, good on you for not getting greedy and going high that time. So you see, mix up saves you. Ooh, that was some tight timing there, but I'll say he probably just didn't trust himself to react because of Wi-Fi. There we go, good. I was about to say, please go for the F smash punish there, because like when they get caught on gunman, it makes them last forever if they're doing down smash. So that's what you got to remember. Like those lingering hits do a lot. As I was gonna say, I just carry him across the stage at that point. But if you're more confident in your ledge trapping, then go for it. Yeah, no, not that low. At that low, he's at an awkward position where the short hop clay pigeon won't connect, so you just want to go for like the fair there. Which that's something you have to keep in mind. Depending on what their DI is and their percentage. Well, let me pause for a sec. So if you're fighting like a character and they're like in that 30 to 50-ish% range, and they're like a small character. You don't really want to go for the CP chain just because you're probably going to miss with the inputs that you need for it. Only go for it against like those taller characters for if you're going to do that short hop one around that percent range, because you'll probably whiff and then they'll get a huge punish off of that, kind of like what you saw here. When you want to go for the chain is when you know for sure that that short hop is going to connect, and you can kind of tell by the DI too, but you know, generally you have to buffer that jump CP and all that. So I understand the confusion. The other thing too is you do need to react to their DI when they're at that percent range. So if he DI'd in fully, then you probably would have been able to connect the short hop clay pigeon. But if he DI'd out, most likely not to. You'd get a combo, but probably not the clay pigeon one until he was at like that 60%. So keep that in mind. Oh god, that was scary because he called out your jump too. It's just he missed. Oh, and he read the roll too. No, he was 5 steps ahead of you there. It feels bad, man. That feels bad. Let's see. Do you go again? And like at that point, like I know you're playing Wi-Fi, so you may not have like the best like in terms of teching and all that stuff. But that was definitely a call out right there. It's just like when you're in that moment right there, it kind of makes sense to just like do the dash back up smash charge just because most people don't want to be at the ledge. So that's kind of how that read worked. Yeah, it looks like we get a Joker after this, so but yeah, no, overall that did go a lot better than I was expecting it to. So yeah, some things to keep note of. Because Pikachu has a lot of multi-hit moves, and especially since he'll do them rising a fair amount of time, utilize the fact that you can create like walls that he's forced to hit with like gunmen, and sometimes can as well, but more so gunmen, just because like when you lay out that gunman and it's like in the center and you know he's hitting it with like a multi-hit aerial, it's going to keep him there forever. Like, keep in mind, forward air, neutral air, and back air are all multi-hit moves, and those are most of the ones that he's going to be approaching with. Like, you're not going to really see him try to hit you with like up air. You're not going to really see him try to land down on you. No, it's going to be one of those three, and that will keep him locked there for a pretty good amount of time. The other thing too is like when he's quick attacking, it will keep his like hitbox extended when he quick attacks into the gunman as well. While you don't see that happen as much in this game as you did in Smash 4, it's still something good to keep in mind just because it makes the punishes on him that much easier to get. The easy way to normally punish that is you use a lingering nair to do it, just because a constant hitbox will beat it out. If you've never seen what Pikachu's hitbox looks like on quick attack, it's actually hilarious. Here's Pikachu. So this is quick attack. As you can see, the hitbox is inside him, and there is no physical way for him to absolutely hit you if you have a hitbox out. All you need is a long lingering hitbox, and it will beat out any of this. So always keep that in mind whenever you're fighting a Pikachu. And he's like just trying to quick attack around the stage because it's completely fake. Like as long as you got to move, he's getting hit. So like Duck Hunt, Nair's the main thing you'll use for that. Like rule, Nair will always like cleanly beat this out, but he's got some other moves that you can use as well. And it's like if you know where he wants to quick attack to, you can like just lay out a smash attack like right where you know they want to end up. Because like he doesn't really land lagously. Like he's got, if he does it wrong, he can get like 24 frames of landing lag. So that's something you can punish fairly easily. The other thing I should note too is Skull Bash. His head does stick out. So with Duck Hunt, you can just like kind of hit that with like back air or a Nair. And then you'll never have to really worry about that one. Or Fair if you wanted to go for that. So deceptively a lot easier to beat out. Nair, let me see. Yeah, as you can see, there's not really a disjoint on this one. It's just kind of around him. So if you throw out like an attack at, at worst, you're going to trade with him. Duck Hunt, if you're spacing your Fair or Bear, the duck is disjointed at the beak. And that's something you need to remember. So like just to kind of visualize this again for you. Where's Fair? Okay. So I want you to look at the hurt box here. So the hurt box ends at the head. So this entire point on, so like a little bit behind where this white line is, this is all a disjoint here. They can't hit that. They can hit the duck head. They can hit the body, but they cannot hit from the beak on. So this is able to cleanly beat out like a Pikachu Nair. That's able to beat out like the Pikachu Skull Bash. That's able to beat out like the Pikachu Quick Attack as well. So that's important to keep in mind when you're fighting this character. The other thing too that you have to remember is that attacks can beat out Thunder Jolt. So let's go into the game real quick, and we'll pause training room real fast. What's up, Dinkin? Don't think I've seen you before. Okay. Let me turn that down too, otherwise you're gonna just hear weird echo nonstop. Duck Hunt. Pikachu. Good things I don't need 2 controllers for this. Okay. So, like, reasons why Thunder Jolt is not as threatening as you might think it is. So you can just, like, jump down and attack it, and it'll just go right through it. So, a little bit easier to do, like, when he's just, like, throwing it in the air than versus when it's on the ground, just because, like, it does do all that bouncing. So, like, in the air, it's going to be traveling really slow, and then you can literally just hit him for going for it. Again, he's like kind of short here. It's a little bit harder to show off. So let's just do this. So when he's just falling down with that, like basically all you have to do is aim for his face. And there's not too much you can do about that. So I'm going to see if I can get this to work correctly. So I'm going to jump. Now he's going to... And he's going to move forward. And we're going to fair. Okay, so I didn't hit him there. But basically, that's what you can do. As you saw, I just clanked out the bottom of the neutral special with that. And I was able to beat that out. So obviously, if since we do have a K-Roll player in here, if you're using like K-Roll, you just fair right through that entire thing. So if you're like kind of like staying in like this mid-range zone, you should be able to just, as Roll, just because he's big, you can just probably short hop fair and just like plow through any type of camping he's trying to do with his T-Jolts and all that. And that's something you can also do with Duck Hunt too. So like with Duck Hunt, generally speaking, what you'll do is like you'll kind of set up Gunman. So then if he's like still like spamming it after that, Gunman will stale it twice, like if he just keeps throwing it out. So once you have that set up, then you can just like wait for it and then like jump and fair, or you can time it with like a clay pigeon as well. Because once you get that double stale, then that'll go through, and then you can just do big devastating combos to him. And let's try to see what percentage he'll actually die at. I want to say if you landed on him at like, I think 70s. 70 sounds like a fair number to me with no rage. Okay, so probably... Let me see if I can do the triple clay pigeon then. Ah. Yeah, weird thing about Pikachu is, like, because he is small and light, I think you have to do... Yeah, I don't know if... I think that the second one... Yeah, that one didn't true combo at the end. So if you're able to get the try one at 70%, you can definitely kill him. But I think if we get him at 75... And the other thing to keep in mind is I do not have Rage on at the moment, so probably 70-75 with Rage. You should be able to kill him. And not much Rage, too. Like 75 with like 50% Rage should be enough. So that's a very valuable tool to know once he is at that... once he's at kill percent and he's like specifically Thunderjolt camping. So that's a very easy thing to beat out. Other than that, as I mentioned before, by showing off all those hitboxes, none of those are going to really outrange his moves. None of those moves are going to outrange Shield Can. So you can just kind of abuse that to just beat him out. That's the best way to recover. Let me get through this stuff first. But in terms of Pikachu, just mix up your recovery. Because kind of what we saw right here from Idolmaster was that he kept just trying to recover high every single time, and that just made it really predictable. And then when he did mix it up eventually, then it was hard for Esam to react to that. So that's the main thing you want to do. Place your cans really smartly. You probably want to go for ledge more often than you don't. So just use your air dodge smartly, save your jumps and all that, because Pikachu's really good at killing you once he takes that away. And just know how to air dodge at the last second before your up B runs out, and then you'll be all set. Also, I do have a full duck hunt guide about recovering, so go watch that. For some odd reason, people keep asking, but they don't want to watch that video. So that's on them. But yeah, I don't think Idolmaster is here with us. Before we go off, does anybody else have questions about this matchup in particular? Because I know most duck hunts don't have the worst trouble with it, because I think they're fighting bad Pikachus. But like, I know there's some that really struggle. All right, that's going to be it. We'll close off this recording and we'll move on to the next.